The old house was dark and quiet when I pulled up out front. The glowing red Puccino's Pizza sign on top of my car was the only light in the area, aside from a few flickering blue street lamps, mingling to cast the road in an eerie, flashing crimson and purple glow. This section of town was ancient, full of century-old houses, and this place was no exception. It looked like it had been built before World War II, with shutters on the windows and a porch with cracked white columns out front. A house like this would have once had servants and butlers and gardeners to keep it well maintained, but without that upkeep, it looked dilapidated and water-damaged. The roof was sunken in slightly at the center, and several shutters were hanging crooked, attached only by a single hinge. The number on the house was hard to see, but eventually my eyes adjusted and I made out the address. After checking it against the receipt on the pizza box, I pulled over to the side of the road. I parked up against the curb rather than using the driveway. My shitbox car leaked oil, and I'd gotten in trouble once after leaving a small black puddle of crude in some rich guy's parking space. Whoever lived in this place looked wealthy, and I didn't want to piss them off. When you're a delivery driver like me, you'll do anything to improve your chances of a proper tip. Some nights, those are few and far between. When I rang the doorbell, a voice answered through the intercom, sounding like an elderly British gentleman. "Hello," the voice said. "Hey, Puccino's Pizza. Got your pie? No sauce, half beef?"
"Oh, perfect," the man replied. "I'm not able to come down right now. I live on the second floor. Would you mind bringing it up to my apartment? I would be very appreciative."
"Sure," I said, smiling a little. Appreciative was code for money in my line of work. There was a buzzing noise like you'd hear at any apartment door when someone let you in, and I turned the knob to go inside. Stairs greeted me immediately, leading straight up. There was no door to access the first floor, which I found a little odd. Unpainted drywall surrounded me, which looked new, and I could smell fresh sawdust, as if there had been recent construction here. Probably just sprucing the place up a bit, I thought to myself. The outside could use some work too. I climbed up the stairs, and when I reached the top, I found a hallway leading towards a single white door. Goosebumps ran up my spine as I looked at that door, and saw it was open just a crack. But it was dark inside past that. Something about this felt off. It felt wrong. A gut instinct was telling me to run, but I ignored that sense of paranoia, which was so often unfounded. With a brief, worried pause, I pushed the door open and stepped inside. "Hello?" I called out, expecting the old man to flick on a light and be standing there right in front of me, waiting for me in the darkness, waiting for a meal. But instead, there was nothing but silence. Maybe this is the wrong apartment, I thought to myself. But there had been no other doors except for this one. Perhaps I had missed it. I prepared to leave when the door slammed shut behind me, so fast and so hard that it sent a huge gust of wind through the room, rustling unseen papers and making the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. My heart was a pounding drum in my chest as I spun around and tried to feel for the door handle. But there was nothing to be found. Only a perfectly smooth wall, and nothing else. A spider fell down from the ceiling and crawled down my shirt collar. And then another, and another, as I brushed them away with trembling hands. I felt their fat bodies squirming away from my fingers and skittering across my scalp. Some were big enough to be tarantulas, and I could feel the bristly hairs on their backs as I brushed them off of me. What the fuck was this? An infestation? No. This felt somehow more sinister than that. This felt planned. I began to scream for help, dropping the pizza on the floor and desperately searching the walls for a light switch in the darkness, groping my hands over the walls as I hyperventilated, yelling and begging for someone to let me out of this place, but ow! It felt like something had cut my hand. A razor blade? A jagged piece of glass jutting out of the wall? Whatever it was, it had been sharp enough to break the skin, and it had cut me deep. Warm blood trickled down my arm, and I began to whimper from the pain, imagining the gash going down to the bone, with no way to see it to reassure myself otherwise. Spiders continued to rain down on me from above, as if the ceiling were an otherworldly storm cloud raining arachnids. Terror came over me in a wave, and I realized that this was no accident. Someone had lured me here, intentionally. And they wanted to torture me. To scare me. Maybe even to kill me. My throat felt tight, and my legs buckled as I shrank to the floor, clutching my knees to my chest.
Having fun yet?
A voice asked from the walls. The same kind, elderly British man who had greeted me at the door was now speaking from all around me. I screamed something then, but I don't remember what. I imagine I was probably begging him to let me out. He answered with a cackling bout of laughter, which devolved into a hacking cough.
All my life I've wanted to do this, but I was always worried about getting caught,
he said, his voice giddy and giggling.
But since my diagnosis, lung cancer, stage 4, I don't have to worry about prison anymore. I've only got a few more months left to live, they tell me. Now I can do all the things I've always dreamed of. No more unfulfilled plans and lost wishes. What's the point of money anyways? You can't take it with you, after all. Best to spend it on the things you enjoy. The things that make you happy.
That was when I realized this man was truly insane. A masochist who got his entertainment from other people's suffering and pain. Why else would he trap me in a room sabotaged with razor blades and raining giant spiders? I got up and pressed deeper into the room, unsure how I was going to get out, but knowing I couldn't go back the way I'd entered. The door behind me was gone, and the walls were covered with sharp objects meant to injure me if I went searching for a way out. I heard the sounds of spinning electric saws turning on, their whirring blades sending sparks flying. I made the mistake of reaching out to check for a wall, and got nicked by a spinning blade. The only option was to go forward, it seemed. "You're insane," I muttered, ripping my t-shirt into strips and wrapping my bloodied hands with the fabric. "What kind of person enjoys doing this to another human being? Just let me out of here. My boss will figure out I'm missing soon. They'll send the cops for me. Do you want to spend your last days in jail?" The man began to laugh, until it turned into that horrible, hacking cough again. I heard him spit up a gob of something which was likely blood before speaking again.
Don't worry about me. If that happens to me, you should be glad. I see you're pressing forward, young man. Good. Very good. Be careful, though. I have more surprises planned for you.
With my next step, I felt the floor give way, dropping out from underneath me like a trap door. I plunged down sickeningly into darkness, my stomach lurching upwards and trailing after me a moment later, threatening to eject the contents from inside. I picked up speed, traveling faster and faster down a chute which was probably once meant for dirty laundry. And then I was falling, hurtling downwards into darkness so deep I couldn't see my own hand in front of my face. I hit the cement floor hard enough to rattle my teeth in their sockets, spiking my tailbone and sending a lightning bolt of pain up my spine. It was dark in this new place, musty and wet like a basement. Things were scurrying around nearby, making rustling, nibbling noises like rats and mice. Before I could open my mouth to scream for help, I heard someone else do just that. "Please, let me out of here, you maniac! I have a family!" "Hello?" I began to say, but another voice cut me off. "Help! Help! Help!" It was a woman, and she repeated the word over and over again, not stopping for several minutes. It sounded as if she had gone completely mad. "Who's there?" someone said, very close to me. "Please, say something." "I'm a pizza delivery guy. That psycho up there is going to get his when the police find out about this." I prayed the police would find out about this. But then another thought occurred to me, making me question everything. How long have you all been down here for? Several dozen voices began to answer, their responses ranging in time. They were all behind walls, as if this were an underground dungeon, or a maze. A dark labyrinth of horrors meant to keep us confined forever. A month, said one trembling old man's voice. A week, said the small, timid voice of a teenage girl. And then, finally, a woman spoke. The one who had been yelling for help over and over again. "I'm his wife," she said, then broke into a titter of insane laughter. "I've been in this death maze for 3 years, and you're all gonna die down here." The story you just heard was written by me, and a variation of it previously featured on the Dr. Nosleep podcast and YouTube channel. If you'd like to check out their channel for more content, please check out the description below. Become a channel member today for early access, bonus videos, and special emojis only available to members. Check out the description below or click the join button for more info. If you'd like another way to help support the channel, please consider joining my Patreon page at patreon.com/JordanGroupeHorror. As a patron, you'll get access to bonus videos and content. You'll be credited at the end of every video going forward, and if you decide to stay for 3 months, I'll name a character after you which will be featured in a Hollow's End story. Links to join the Patreon are in the description. Thanks everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment to help the channel continue to grow. And see you again next time at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you have a great night.